Full circle.
So I started like when I was 15. I started hustling, trying to make some money. But I started in the church. I see that's where you can make money from. So I
started his whole all wrong. Yep. We gotta wrap this up.
Well, look, you just got count. So
What's good? What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Apartment 4A. Welcome everybody in. Have a seat to get what you need. If this is your first time, welcome. If it's not your first time, you're not a guest no more, so get the stuff yourself. We appreciate everybody taking some time out. We want to give a shout out to Mr. Eric Kelly and the Kelly. They're celebrating their anniversary tonight, so he probably won't be on tonight. You know what's good for him. He better stay out with his wife and not worry about the podcast. So, but we wanted to shout him out, and I also wanted to shout out Kim Scott. There was somebody on Facebook a couple of days ago that asked, "Hey, we're looking for a good podcast to start listening to." And she tagged us, so I appreciate it. Appreciate you, putting us out there, tagging us, giving us a little more exposure. So thank you for that. Today we got a good one, man. We got a good one. We're gonna highlight the youngest of the crew, Duck or Chicken. Mr. JP himself. It's gonna be hosted by none other than Jay Keith. Fellas, how y'all doing?
Hey.
I'm good.
Y'all sound like y'all sleep.
It's been one of them days. It's been one of them days.
It's spring break, and you do more on spring break than you do on a regular week. So
I know it. I don't shoot. Y'all got spring break. I'm looking for one of them.
the parents only had 2 weeks of spring break.
the first week was work. The second week is all play.
That's what I'm talking about. I ain't mad at you. All right, bro. Well, we're gonna turn it over to J Key. Let you jump that thing off, and we'll go from there.
All right, good evening, everybody. Since we're gonna start off, since we're starting off introducing Mr. Joshua Dwayne Puffers tonight, we're gonna start off with Rod. Let him tell you how he met Joshua Puffers.
All right, so JP. I don't think I ever called JP Joshua. It's always been JP. And if you hadn't just said his middle name, I'd have never known that. But I met JP my sophomore year. I think JP is a year behind all of us. And I met JP. When I met JP, him and Jonathan was telling this whole thing, talking about some they cousins and they gonna be roommates. This my cousin and everything. I come to find out that this boy done married this man, cuz. I'm like, wait a second. They supposed to be cousins. He married the cousin. I mean, what the But so in real life, they were never really cousins. They were just telling folks they were cousins. So I guess he had somebody to kind of kick it with during the college days. But that's how I met JP. JP thought he was a gamer. He wasn't that good. But it's all good. We still trying to figure out his NFL team, but we got you, JP.
What about you, Mr. Taylor?
JP, I guess JP was at USM when I was in the military. So I didn't initially meet initially meet him then, but we met after the fact. But one of my favorite story about JP is just like JP was always he was the life of any party. If he's there, he liven everything up. So he was my road dog. So he want to go get some entertainment, some other stuff. He's always down the ride, and that's the energy JP give. That he always lively, always lively.
What's going on, Mr. Willie?
What's going on, fellas? JP, I met JP through Jonathan, of course. Um, I met him when he came down there to tour the campus. I think JP ended up spending more time with some of us than he did with Jonathan. Then, of course, sophomore year, JP came back. He was roommates with Jonathan. I was rooming with Rod sophomore year. Um, and man, we just hit it off. Like I say, we all hung out together. So it, everybody, you didn't have a choice. We all kicked it. Funny story for JP, probably too many to really account for. I can tell one. If I don't tell it, somebody else probably will. But this may have been JP's first night. Maybe it was our first Thursday night going out at USM. And it wasn't going out to the club part, it was after the club part. And I just took it upon myself to show him around campus. And it may have been some people bring up stuff about some mouthwash and things like that, but don't listen to none of that. I was showing that young man around campus so he could be acclimated with the University of Southern Mississippi. Outside of that, I think I played a part of him joining the greatest fraternity in the world. So we all. So yeah, we are fraternal brothers as well, and yeah, that's how I met Mr. Joshua Dwayne Pofus.
All right, I'll tell how. I feel like I know Josh our whole life, even though we haven't. Once we came in contact with each other, I figured out that Josh didn't really do too much at school. He had a cousin that really did all his work for him. I really don't know how he passed because she really did all the work for him. So he was talking about going to school, and it was all he was like. I was like, "Come to Southern Miss." So he came down, and I guess I don't know what he did on campus because Josh spent more time on campus than he did in the room. He had one person he wasn't gonna miss. He wasn't gonna miss the food. He was there for all his meals. um, he's grown, and now Josh he's grown. Like we had many conversations. A lot of the stuff that he done back then, he's grown up now. He doesn't do a lot of that stuff anymore. And Willis said he had the opportunity to bring him to Omega, but I just want to let you know, Josh was already hopping in the dorm room, kicking the closet, kicking the bed. He was a horrible hopper, horrible hopper. I hope he doing a little better now. I still don't think he got any rhythm. If you ever seen Josh dance, you know he really ain't got no rhythm at all. Uh, but that's all I'm saying. I'm keep all the private stuff, tucked away, just like the little pink phone. We're gonna keep it all tucked away. Uh, Josh, you want to tell a little bit about yourself?
Man, that's yeah, I'll tell a little bit about myself. I appreciate you guys um for the trips down memory lane, and I really like Willie's analogy of he did a great job of showing me the campus ride. You know, Taylor, that's what we were doing. You know, I needed to make sure that I knew. It was hard going from. I don't know if you're familiar with Southern Miss. It's hard going from Elam to College Hall. So we couldn't. It was just
You
confusing.
better be glad the historian not on today because he would tell it.
So
we gonna let Eric tell that story when he get back.
He missed. He had his anniversary, so he missed.
He missed.
I missed Willie time, so he missed it. But just to give a little bit about myself, my name is like I said, Joshua Puffers. I'm married. I have 4 beautiful children. My wife Sharonda, she's well, she can't see us, but she's on the podcast as well. I have 2 daughters that are great drivers, and one is she's learning, and I have a 2-year-old son. I've been coaching and teaching now for 15 years, just about, and coached football, I've coached basketball, coached baseball, I've coached track, I've coached tennis, I've coached powerlifting. So I've coached a lot of schools. So, but right now I'm the head football coach at Columbus High in Columbus, Mississippi. Just Friday, I'll be flying with the Thunderbirds of come down from Washington D.C. They gave me a call. Today's Wednesday, Monday or Tuesday, and said I was Columbus, Mississippi's hometown hero. So that's pretty exciting. Only 1% of American civilians will ever get this opportunity. So, do a lot of community service, a lot of work in the community, but, that's a little bit about me.
And I do want to mention that Mr. Joshua came up with this subject for tonight. But I do want to mention that he is a deacon at the church that he ain't gonna tell nobody about.
Yes, I am a deacon at the church. Yeah.
So my first question, this is how we're going. Our subject tonight is Black History Month. Should we celebrate it or should we not? So my first question, we're just gonna go around. I don't want a response. I just want a yes or no answer, and then we're gonna get into the response part of it. So we're gonna start with Mr. Rod. The same question for everybody is: do you think we should celebrate Black History Month?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Willie,
Yeah.
Duck or Chicken?
No,
JP?
no.
Okay.
No.
So this is my second question, because we're gonna go back to that. I want to know. First, I'm gonna start off with racism. I'm gonna start with Mr. Willie and ask him: do you still believe that racism exists in the month of February?
Oh man, I couldn't hit my unmute button fast enough. It exists January, February, March, April, May, June, July, every month. Yeah, it exists, and honestly, it's not. It's embedded in some people. It's not going anywhere. If you ask me, we have overcame a lot of racism, and a lot of people are better. But yeah, it still exists.
Mr. Taylor, question for you. You said yes about celebrating Black History Month. What's your thought on racism in Black History Month?
I don't think Black History Month and racism go hand in hand. I
Okay.
think racism is a cultural thing. So uh, I don't think they go. I don't think they go hand in hand. My thing is the reason why we should celebrate Black History Month is just making our people aware of the achievements that we have that we have made. Um, I don't think racism have anything to do with it.
Rod, do you think racism and Black History Month go hand in hand? Or you agree with Mr. Taylor?
I, for the most part, agree with Terrence. My only thing about it is I think some of it, I really don't understand why they had to identify a month for Black History Month. I think we should celebrate. I think we should take the opportunity to put ourselves out there and actually make sure that the history of African Americans are told. But I don't feel like Black History Month was something that I don't know if we push it enough. You get what I'm saying? I feel like sometimes it's not always us that's necessarily talking about Black history. It's kind of like it's February and that's just the thing to do.
Uh, JP, you said that we shouldn't celebrate Black History Month. Now I'm gonna give you 5 minutes -2 to tell us why we shouldn't celebrate Black History Month.
Why we shouldn't, and it kind of goes back to what Rod just was kind of saying, and it's something. I think it's something now that we doing just to do it, just because. We could talk about the achievements. We could talk about the achievement. We could talk about all the great things blacks have done. But when you learn more and do better, when you know more, you should do better. And instead of just signifying that month, it should be embedded throughout the curriculum. But as African Americans, we're not doing a good job of upholding the values, of upholding the core principles that our ancestors provided before us. So, I mean, if for example, if your favorite team, let's just say, is not playing the way that it used to be, is not having that same pride or same history, you know, they revamp it, they get rid of everything, and they start fresh. So I think we need to do something to kind of start fresh to energize the excellence of African Americans.
So
I,
are you saying? Go ahead, Rod.
I agree with JP to an extent. I mean, I don't think we should stop Black History Month, but I think we need to freshen it up. I feel like Black History Month comes around, and for the most part, we talk about the same few Black history icons, and it's like we kind of let everybody else sugarcoat it instead of bringing more of the history kind of to the forefront. It's like, it's Black History Month. Pull out Harriet Tubman, pull out Martin Luther King, pull out Malcolm X, and pull out George Washington Carver, and then that's it. And it's like, I feel like at the same time, we don't push Black History Month like we should. I feel like we let everybody else kind of do that. Now, I'm not saying it's everybody, because as an individual, especially what you do in your individual household, it may be different. But if you look at the large scale of it, when you see Black History, even on TV, you see stuff coming around Black History, it's the same stuff. I don't even know if they even change it. They just put a new year on the bottom of it and show it to you again, and it's like, hey. So I most definitely think it can be revamped, but I don't think we should stop it though.
So that was a question for JP. He said we shouldn't celebrate it, but then he said we should revamp it. So do you think we should be revamped or not celebrated at all?
I think it makes sense to revamp it because it's a different culture, it's a different society now. As I was thinking about it last week, um, the reason why it was so important to me growing up, because my school pushed it, and then my community pushed it, as in my church. Now we're so much more diverse, as in the school that my kids go to is probably 70% white, and then the church we go to is 70% white. So we are disconnected from our community and our culture the way I was raised. So I guess it's all about being um, more sensitive to the people around us. So that's why we don't push it as much. But I realized my kids never watch Roots. My kids never watch Amistad, and I think that's on me though.
Yeah, that's on you.
Well, I never watched those two movies either, so
Yeah, we got to take your black card then.
Snatch.
It's a rough watch, but I'm with the fans. You need to watch it.
So rough.
so
But
go ahead, Will.
yeah, I was gonna just comment on Mr. JP's comment. I don't think you can do away with the Black History Month just because, and he knows, if you do away with Black History Month, you're also not acknowledging the black man that created Black History Month. So in a sense, if you do away with Black history, you're doing away with a piece of Black history. So I think it has to remain within society. Now, as we've all talked about the expanding it and revamping it, of course, as times have changed, but I don't think you have to revamp it as much, because even when I was growing up, the biggest influence on Black history with me was the church and in my house. I would grab the book, but I have a book about this thick of Black history that my mom had, and I kind of just borrowed it and I brought it home. But in that sense, even it's a lot of things that we weren't taught about Black history coming up, and I think it's still relevant now. So I think the teachings of Black history should it should increase on what we are telling people. Of course, slavery is a very pivotal part of Black history, but we don't want to harp on that. It's so Black people and innovations and advancements that we've had is so much, and it's hard to put into a month, of course. And that's why, as we say, Black history should be every day. Ooh, that rhymed. I should be a rapper. But yeah, so yeah, that's just kind of how I feel on that point.
Dude, it seemed to me that we have cut out the slavery in Black history, and we have limited, like Rod said, we limited to Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and Harriet Tubman, but we don't really talk about the slavery part because I guess we don't want to be um, offend anybody because we this generation now is very sensitive on a lot of things. Uh, there's a lot of things going on now that I don't think should be. So right now we have a lot of too many first blacks to do certain stuff, and this is 2022, and we still have offices just now being occupied by somebody's black. So in that, I think we should continue to celebrate Black History Month, but we should be able to celebrate the newly black history people. I know we know what Martin Luther King did, we know what Rosa Parks did, but there's new black people that have yet to be celebrated. Should we continue to enforce that, or should we, I don't know, come up with some kind of class?
Well, I think with kind of like you said, it is a lot of Black people that are making major moves today, and a lot of times we don't really know about it unless you're staying on top of social media or you're following certain companies or certain sites where you can actually see this happening. A lot of times we don't know. So to actually acknowledge that and teach that, people will have to. I think it would have to start small in those communities around where these people are, excelling, and then it would have to branch out at some point. Now to teach it on a national level, yeah, I think it would have to kind of start small and would have to build up, just because people wouldn't. You just wouldn't know everything that's going on.
Yeah, and I'm no teacher, so JP, you might be able to tell me how it go. But I look at it like if it's something that we can teach throughout time, like when you grow up, you learn about George Washington, and you learn he's the first president. By the time you get to second, third grade, you don't talk about that no more. Everybody already know that, and they talk about some other part of history. And then you get to college, they talk about history that you ain't talked about in elementary school or whatever. But for us, we talk about the same Black history all the way down. And it's like if once you learn what one part of it is, you're not saying that you're getting rid of it. You can always go back and kind of bring it back up. But let's incorporate some more of the Black history. That way, as people continue to do stuff in our future, we can go ahead and incorporate those. And I don't know, like you said, I think you're right, Willie. When stuff happened, if you're not locally on the news or you're local in that spot to see some of those first, nobody talk about it. You don't see it nowhere. We always, looking for kind of the controversy when it comes to pretty much anything. So if you're not really in tune on it, unless it's something big like the president or Supreme Court justice, usually like nobody never says, this first time black owner who's owning a restaurant in McGee.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody know that she's building a Checkers in McGee.
Mm-hmm.
Black owned restaurant in that city. But if you ain't from there, you'll probably never find out.
Right. And I just want to interject one point, and just like with Joshua, what he's getting recognized for, and what he's going to be doing this coming up Friday. Now, I don't keep up with Columbus with their newspapers or if they got any publishers out about it. I wouldn't have known unless JP told us. So that's one example Right there. I don't know if they've done a publication or any write-ups about the story, which they should, and it should be put out there. And if something can get put out there on social media or something like that, then all of us would, of course, share and blast it so people could actually see it. But that's just one example right there, because that's a great achievement he's
Mhm.
getting. But how many people will actually know about it?
One of the comments said that if we don't celebrate Black History Month, will it just go unrecognized? What's your thought on that, Josh?
Well, see, and that's where the catch-22 comes in at, because if we don't put it into our curriculum, if we don't implement it into our life, like Rod said, at an early age, I mean, it just can't be. We like if we don't implement it early, then like right now, I mean, when February come, everybody holler Black History Month. But when you think back about Black History Month, and then you look at how we act today in society, where's the? I mean, it's six in one hand, half a dozen in the other. So what are we gaining? You know what I mean? It's like we fighting against ourselves. So yeah, I believe if we don't implement it, yeah, we'll forget about it. But to be honest with you, we've already forgotten about it. We have. Especially the youth of now, they have forgotten about it because back then it meant something to at least attempt to go to college. You strive to go to college. Now these jokers don't even strive to go to school. Back then we talking about integration, segregation. You couldn't get what whites had and nothing. You know, when your parents told you about this stuff, you appreciated going to a water fountain or sitting in a classroom with other people. Now these jokers is we've already lost. So by just having a title, that's all it is, just a title of the month, So
I think we just disconnected from it. I think because we have so much education, or we so advanced in what we do now. For our kids, um, they experienced what the first black president. They experienced in the first black Supreme Court justice. They experienced all this stuff live in person. But for us, we wasn't there when Martin Luther King gave his speech. But we was there but they was there when Obama gave his speech. So it seems like it's for our kids, for this generation, they don't have that connection to it because they see it every single day. They see Black history being made every single day because they see it so much now. They don't really appreciate it like we did and like our parents did, and so on and so on. Be honest, I didn't even know that in 1876 that's when it was the first acknowledged by a president. Has been acknowledged ever since. So when Rob put that information up there, I didn't know that.
Rod, I got one question. Last week when we talked about religion, there was something you said about in the black church, we that's what we was taught and that's what a lot of people learned in the black church. So my question now is, should black history be taught more in the church or should it be taught more in the school?
I think a little bit of both. The church, the school, the community, all the way around is one of those things that we gotta kind of incorporate in our everyday life. We gotta have a sense of pride about our own history because everybody else, if you really think about it, every other race talk about their heritage. They talk about it. They grow up in it. They do different things in it. They wear it. They act it. They live it. Um, and for us, sometimes it's not the same way. Sometimes if we wait till February to just talk about Black history, and so and it's not all of us, but I think it could be pushed more to the forefront. There's nothing wrong to have pride in who you are and who we are, the African Americans. There's nothing wrong with being prideful that you're black. We don't have to be ashamed that we're black. We shouldn't let nobody feel like, oh man, here you go talking about slavery again. Well, you just gonna have to hear it, whatever.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm not gonna not talk about black history or even slavery just because it makes people feel uncomfortable. And I think that's what it is. We got to a point where people are uncomfortable or people just tired of hearing it. Because one comment that I hear all the time is, oh, why does it got to be a black and white thing? Because I'm black. That's why. I don't have no I don't know what I can't make it nothing else. I can't make it nothing but a black thing. That's who I am. We can't be scared for it to just be a black thing and let it be what it is.
I'm gonna share a dumb moment. So before I started USM, I had no idea what an HBCU is. That's just the honest truth. I didn't know there was historically black college and university. I dropped Jackson State with Jackson State. That's just a dumb moment on my part because I we didn't learn that in school. So the question that has been brought up is, did integration help us or did it hurt us? And I'm gonna let you start with that, Mr. Willie.
Ooh, integration. Did it help us or hurt us? Uh, I want to say a little bit of both. But the the black militant in me want to say that it hurt us more than it helped us. And I just say it hurt us just because we had as a people we had to only depend upon ourselves. We were able to achieve a lot. We all know about a lot of the Black Wall Street cities that we had. We have one in Mississippi. Mount Bayou was one. Um, and I think when in those situations where it was only us to help for our community and to provide those opportunities for our community, it made us achieve. It made us push ourselves. And then integration came along. Integration it broadened the spectrum. It introduced a lot. But at the same time, I don't know. It's a tough one for me because I want to feel like integration did assist us in some of our achievements, but deep down inside, I feel like it kind of hurt us more than it helped us.
What about you, Mr. Puffles? What you think?
Oh, integration helped us. Integration helped us big time. And the reason why I say it helped us because, like I said, even though we lost, follow me with, even though we lost a lot, like I said, with Black Wall Street, with a lot of black independence and a lot of black pride, we were now given the golden ticket to go ahead, even though it was tough to go get what we needed, but we were still given the golden ticket to go ahead and push through. Society wasn't going to give in. Our ancestors had to go ahead and push their way through. Well, now since they pushed their way through, now I think it hurt us on the back end because now everybody now, like we is saying, everybody have all these rights. If blacks now we don't walk around proud. We don't walk around excellent. We don't walk around like we're from royalty, kings and queens. We degrade our own self. Girls calls girls out their name. We put the videos out there. Showing our girl. We don't walk around with that pride. So it helped us at the front part because our people knew what they were working for, but towards the back end of their lives is like now it's hurting us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to discredit, the folks that came for us that got us there, but at the same time, I think it took away some of the stuff we had to pride in. Like, I mean, we had schools named after Booker T. Washington and so on and so on. At that point, you had a pride of going to a school named after a black man. It was a pride, a sense of pride that you had when you went to a HBCU. And I do honestly believe that some of that is starting to come back. I hope it's not just because of who got the certain coach at whatever school, and so they all deciding to go to that school. And it ain't just Jackson State because a lot of other HBCUs are starting to get NFL coaches too. But I hope when those coaches transition, whether it's retirement or to the next job, that people continue to go to those schools regardless of who was a superstar, or regardless of what it was. I mean, if you think about it, if you look especially in sports really kind of tell the ticket, because there before we had a lot of Hall of Famers going to HBCUs, whether it was basketball, football, whatever. And as soon as the TV deals and the money got out there, all that changed. It seemed like no matter what we're doing, we're always chasing for that dollar, chasing for that next achievement. And hopefully at some point we can realize that we can achieve it ourselves. Not saying that we can't have the help of integration. I think it will help, but I think we got to find a balance of it.
So I led in with the question on talking about the HBCUs. All of us went to USM. So I had the joy to experience a homecoming at Alcorn. And the whole atmosphere is a whole lot different from homecoming at USM. So my question is, I'm still with you, Will, since you shake your head. Do you think integration helped on the college level? Because we all went to USM, so we didn't go to a historically black college.
Yeah. Well, background on that. Yeah, kind of like Jonathan was saying about the whole HBCU. We both went to West Point, and coming up in West Point through the school system, it wasn't a lot of, and it wasn't just the HBCUs, but just the next level of college was not expressed a lot throughout high school. We went to a guidance counselor. We took a test. They told us what we think we should be, and then that was kind of it. So if you wasn't getting it from your community, from at home, or just your circle of friends, you really didn't get it. Like I knew of HBCUs, Jackson State, because we had a lot of teachers that went to Jackson State and West Point, and I knew of Alcorn, I knew of the schools, but at the time, for the program that I majored in at USM, they didn't offer it at none of the HBCUs in the state of Mississippi. So that was one reason why I did choose USM. Did it hurt? I think, and I can attest, my wife, she went to Alcorn, proud Alcornite, and a lot of her family went to Alcorn, and I've spoken with her dad a lot. He went to Alcorn, and I can definitely see the connection with the African American people as they go to the HBCU, because I mean, it's nothing better to being on campus, being taught by, being able to learn with your peers and people that look just like you. So I definitely feel like, I don't think integration in the fact that colleges, I don't think it hurt us, because it's some elements of education and upper academia that you might can't get at some HBCUs, and you might have to go to a different institution to get that. So I in that sense, I don't see an issue with it. But I feel the HBCU should be glorified, and every child has the right to choose the college they want to go to. But I would preach them more to take a look into the HBCUs more than what was given to me when I was coming up through college, through high school.
More than what was given to. I think, and I hate to say this for anybody who's from West Point, I think West Point kind of failed us on college upbringing when we was in there. I hope they're doing a whole lot better now, but they didn't really teach us about what to do and where to go and how to apply for scholarships, grants, and all that type of stuff. I think they kind of failed us in that area.
Yeah. I definitely did. Well, it just depends. Some of the teachers did, but you had to really know some of the teachers to have that conversation about college, and some might pull you to the side and talk here and there. But as a whole student body, no. And I mean, we literally was 20-25 minutes away from Mississippi State, just to have a college day or something like that, and we never had any of that. And so USM, Southern Miss to the top. I knew I wasn't going to Mississippi State or Ole Miss.
Right. You chose to go to USM over Jackson State. What's your thoughts on it?
So my thing with Jackson State was I just wanted to do something different. I wanted to be different out the family. So my mom, all her sisters except for one went to Jackson State. The one sister went to Alcorn. My dad and all his brothers went to Jackson State. My first cousin went to Jackson State. And so when it was time for me to go, it had nothing to do with HBCUs. I was just like everybody went to Jackson State. I mean, I want to go somewhere else. And I think one of the things that might have hurt my journey to HBCUs is how prideful each individual HBCU is in their school. And when I say prideful, it's not a bad thing. But if you think about it, you hear people talking about, oh, I went to Jackson State. My son better not go to Alcorn because, and it's one of those things where if you don't go to this HBCU, you can't go to none of them because it ain't but one real HBCU. And so some of that was like, hey, if I don't go to Jackson State, because that's where all my people went to, then I ain't going to no HBCU. But really, I had nothing against Jackson State. I just wanted to go somewhere else. I've been to Jackson State so much through my childhood, whether it was football games, visiting campus, because I had, older cousins and older family members there. My mama got a master's there, so we was there all the time. I mean, every time we had like a little event or any type of college thing or anything that we went to, seem like it was always on Jackson State campus. So by the time I graduated, I was like, man, I've been to Jackson State. I just don't have no degree. And so I went to Southern Miss just to kind of get away.
My oldest brother went to Jackson State, and that was in the 90s. And when we used to go visit Jackson State, all I could think about of Jackson State was it was in the hood. And so I said, I don't want to go to Jackson State because it's in the hood. So my choice was really to go to LSU. But again, like I said, West Point didn't tell me that there was an out of state tuition. So when I got ready to apply for it and everything, they're like, your tuition gonna be higher because it's out of state. I'm like, who said anything about higher tuition because you out of state? I'm gonna be living there. So the closest furthest way to Louisiana was USM. That's why I came to USM. JP, what was your first choice and why did you go to USM?
Well, I had, like you said, a few of the options to go to different schools, but HBCU I didn't want to go to HBCU. It never appealed to me. For example, like I grew up in Egypt, Oklahoma country, so when we went to Alcorn, I didn't want to go back to the country, so that's how I felt about that. Jackson State, same thing. Even though it's in the city, I had some good times when I went down there and visit, but I didn't like it. I never liked Jackson like that. So my two options were three: Southern Miss, Delta State, and Memphis. And with Delta State and Southern Miss were the only two introducing the program that I got in, coaching the sports at men. So I definitely didn't want to go Delta because that goes back to the country thing. And Memphis, when I went and visited Memphis was way too fast for me, way too fast. So when I went down on that southern visit, like I said, I enjoyed the little family atmosphere we had. That was it with me right there.
So I got a question, Jonathan. Oh, Willie, you want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to interject that I did get my master's from Jackson State. So technically, I'm like a quarter HBCU student.
They
I
don't
just want to put that out there. I'm like,
Alcorn in the house.
Alcorn in the house. I'm like, I'm almost a full-time HBCU student.
So I have a question. When you're thinking about HBCUs and going to school to an HBCU, especially being Black, everybody, for the most part, you choose your college even because of kind of a family heritage type thing, or because that's where you feel comfortable at. And so it's one of those things where, like, I got a child coming up, and I want him to go to school if that's what he want to do. And I would love for him to go to a HBCU, but I don't want him to go to one just because it's an HBCU. Like if he go to the campus and he don't feel like it's home, he don't feel like this is where he want to be. I don't want him to pick it just because, well, out of all the HBCUs, this is one I like the most. I still want him to go to the college of his choice, something that he feel comfortable with. I don't want him just to, well, I gotta go to a HBCU. And so, you know, and I hope nobody watches this and go, man, these guys just hating on the HBCU. I don't have a problem with an
Oh no,
HBCU,
that's
and
it.
I'm
That's y'all.
and I'm one of the people who would say I don't get into that whole thing of Southern Miss is a mini HBCU. Like I ain't into all
You know what I'm
that.
saying?
Yeah, no, Southern Miss ain't no HBCU. You
We
No,
know,
did
I've
have
been
a black president.
what?
yeah, he
You got
gone.
a black president.
We
Yeah, he
did
can
have a
step
black
down.
one.
He about
He
to
step
step
down.
down. I bet the next one won't be black.
I said we did. Past tense.
All I know is when he stepped down, the little Southern Miss group I'm in, there was a lot of hoorays and happies.
What? Who you telling? Good God.
I got a question coming up about um Juneteenth. Um, it's a how we celebrating as a whole. We know how to get down for Thanksgiving, 4th of July, but how we officially celebrate Juneteenth. So we talked about this last week offline because I was asking about actually the celebration of Juneteenth. Um, and we the brothers informed me and they taught me about some stuff of Juneteenth that I didn't know. So my question is, are we gonna celebrate Juneteenth like we celebrate Black History Month
Uh,
or 4th of July? As
well,
we
I think I think it definitely should be celebrated. But just like last week, when you didn't know a lot of the background on it, you asked the questions and we told you what we knew. So I think that should be the first part for a lot of people that's gonna celebrate, especially now that it's been deemed a national holiday. So a lot of people's gonna get off work for it and this and that. So, but with it, I feel for us to actually celebrate it how it should be, everyone should know the history of how it came about. And then I feel once you get that and you can acknowledge that, then we can have the proper celebrations and people can actually do right by the holiday.
I'm for sure celebrating. I'm going straight 4th of July barbecue, all that good stuff. And I'm most definitely gonna make sure I teach my son about it and make sure I pay some type of homage to Juneteenth. And I even recognize after they made the holiday, he said to myself, I said, man, you know what? We hadn't been doing this no justice. You know, 4th of July come around, you hear the happy 4th of July, happy New Year, happy Thanksgiving. Well, you're gonna get these happy Juneteenths too. And so when it come, you might well get ready. I'm hooking the speakers up and everything, and we just gonna have a good old time. Whether I gotta celebrate it on a Saturday, Sunday, whatever, I'm gonna set aside a day for some good old Juneteenth fun. I mean, we celebrate everything else. I mean, the how many of us Catholic, but soon as Mardi Gras come around, everybody wanna, or St. Patrick's Day, I'm sorry, everybody wanna pull up a drink or do whatever, that ain't got nothing to do with us. So heck yeah, I'm going all the way. I'm going for the gusto. I'm doing it all. I just ain't eat no pig feet. I don't care. I have no chitlins. I don't eat that
you
good.
you ain't had no good pig feet. That's the thing.
Ain't no such thing as good pig feet.
Man, you better get your black cover up. Josh, what you think?
Ain't nothing like some good pig feet and chitlins. Ain't nothing like it. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Even though, like I said, with Juneteenth, it goes back to the Black History Month celebration. I just, as a society, as a culture, as a race, I think we're not upholding the values and traditions like we need to. You know what I mean? And we, I think as a race, we got a way lot more work to do to instill pride and heritage back in us. Because look, if we look at like Confederate Day, that's in April. You know, you'll be surprised of all the pride and tradition that's being shown on that day in April for the Confederate holiday. And but us, like we said, we understand the value of Juneteenth, but just because we understand it, it I believe in order for history, we just got to keep passing it on. But we got to do a lot more educating our youth on stuff, man.
And we do need to educate, but we got to start with us.
Exactly.
If we
Exactly.
educate ourselves and our community, and we celebrate ourselves and our community, we make it the thing to do. We got to
Right.
make it. We got to
Exactly.
make it a thing in our house first, so the next house can be like, "Hey man, what y'all getting together for? It's Juneteenth. You didn't know? Let me tell you. Let me tell you what happened in 1868." And go on. They're like, "Word, shoot, let's get this Juneteenth stuff going." Uh, the thing is, people, and I hate to say it like this, people are looking for excuses to party. It don't matter what it is, and if they're gonna party anyway, you might as well give them, a legit reason, something that they can actually get behind, and not just be, "Oh, we getting together."
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Party
and,
with a
and
party with a purpose.
right, and just like Quincy just said in the chat, it don't have to be a black holiday. It can just be a holiday. It
Yeah.
just is just a holiday. We get out
Yeah.
there and celebrate it and let it be what it is. It's Juneteenth, you know.
Yeah. But it's gonna take, like you say, it's gonna take us to push it to the forefront, because if we leave it up to anybody else, it's not gonna happen. It's
Yeah.
just gonna fall on the back burner.
And
So
like those things, everybody putting in. I don't know if y'all seen them, especially on Facebook. I know you see the chats. Like I said, June Jackson has a Juneteenth on Fair Street. Hattiesburg has a celebration, so on and so on. I mean, we need to go to those. We go
yeah,
to go
yeah,
to the
yeah,
I'm
Christmas
going.
parade.
I want to speak on Hattiesburg. Hattiesburg used to have a Juneteenth that was I heard was amazing. That's what I heard. But
hmm
right now, to me, and I hope nobody be offended, but the people that's over it now is not the better person to advertise it because now it's more of a rap battle type stuff and it's not encouraging to other people.
hmm
So I think that we should, and a lot of time we're advertising Juneteenth as we need to celebrate Juneteenth. We don't need to celebrate July 4th. And when we come off like that, it's setting people back. Like, how you gonna tell me to celebrate this day and not this day? Like, and I think it throws a wrench in what we're trying to do.
That's a good point. And you said the best, and like everybody else said too. Once we take the color out of it and just in America and accept it and adopt it, we might can get full support and full education on it. But like you said with those rap battles, man, that's becoming our culture. Well, let me rephrase it. That's what our culture taking heed upon. You
Mm.
know, um,
Like Miss Bradley said, that Hattiesburg used to have a big Black History Parade, but the
yeah,
person that they have over that Black History Parade now, he tries to segregate the city, and we need to celebrate this Black History Parade because such and such going on. And if y'all have seen the advertisement for the Black History Parade this year, um, he was saying that we had to celebrate Black History Parade because the city won't celebrate Black History. They want to do the Mardi Gras Parade. Well, the Mardi Gras Parade is already set. It was a whole month. It was 3 other Saturdays in the month of February, but it was advertised of the city kicked us out of doing the Black History Parade, and we need to do one. So they end up doing it like the 1st of March or whatever. And I'm like, that's not advertising as our black people. We need to get together to be better prepared and stop blaming it on somebody else to get the word out.
So, a couple of comments here. Like Mike and Ike was talking about, celebrating in America, and like Ike said, we crowd those Mexican restaurants for Cinco de Mayo. We need to kind of do the same thing for Juneteenth. And even Demetrius said now, and we have to think about this too. Battle rap is part of the culture. It's kind of what we do. We've been battle rapping for a long time. And I don't think we necessarily have to take it out, but it can't just be battle raps. I know battle rap is like the popular thing now, but it can't just be the popular thing. We got to do a little bit of everything. You know, we can put some history in there. We ain't got to just get up there and talk about the laser point I got on the beamer I got on my
That's what I was saying.
my
Yeah, I
nine.
mean, I like a good battle rap here and there. You know, URL smack. I watch them, but you know, you at the Juneteenth festival, let's put a little more culture into it. Let's do a little more praising of the culture instead of I'm gonna shoot you down like Steve Harvey said. I'm gonna wet you up.
Right. And like I said, we can celebrate all the artists. Yeah. And I think that's the thing when you look at Juneteenth or just Black history in general. We make it so small, we put it in a bottle.
Yeah.
It's like Black people don't do other stuff dealing with art. Like all we do is rap. Like we have lost so much of the stuff that we do that for the most part we don't have no R&B singers. That was our thing for a little while, you know. And for now it's like who are R&B singer now? Oh yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Who are R&B singer now? What Future and
Got
Future all being saying, I thought it was rap.
no,
got
I
Chris.
mean you know he doing
Well, I
his
dropped
thing.
my solo about 4
Really?
months ago. You know, be looking forward. You know,
Yeah, it's
it's gonna
real
come
low.
out on the 32nd.
Yeah,
Well,
solo
it's so
called.
low. I like to know when somebody hit.
It's called JP. Just pause.
so so my thing is we should be more I think we as a Black culture, we like I said earlier, we don't prepare enough. So if we're gonna celebrate Juneteenth and we're gonna include everybody and not just we're just gonna have this rap battle. We want everybody to come out and have this rap battle and we're gonna release some balloons. We need to do more. Let's include everybody. Let's have arts. Let's have gospel. Let's have something for the old, something for the young. Instead of just rapping and twerking, we should have something else going on better for us. So celebrate Juneteenth this year. We should have started last year.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I laughed that Mike comment JP Singer would go triple wood. I couldn't help myself. Triple wood, boy, that's rough.
Hey, don't be hating on these vocals, man. I tell you, it can make a blind man go deaf.
What?
Ooh.
That's
That's
rough.
deep. That's deep right there. But yeah, like what Jonathan was saying, he is definitely correct. It's got to be more than the basics. And like my wife put in the comments about we went to Jackson to the Juneteenth festival that they had on Fair Street. It was a lot. You had artists, you had paintings, you had music, you had different type of vendors, and they had a music stage, but you had different type of music. Because when we got there, they had some local rap artists. One of my friends from high school, Kerry Thomas, he performs. He's an R&B singer. So it was various activities for everybody, and they incorporated the culture. And then just being on Fair Street, you know, you got to walk around, you got to see once was and what hopefully will become again, you know, a staple for the Black community. So yeah, you got in Hattiesburg had that with Mobile Street. You know, a lot of cities you have that street in the city that was once the Black Wall Street or that Black just the main area for the community. So yeah.
I might be talking to some people who don't know, but if you ever watched the show Insecure, y'all probably never seen it. There's some stuff that I watch. There's an episode where they actually have like this little block party thing that celebrates like Black business owner, Black artists, Black um whatever Black culture, and they had the stage and everything. And I looked at it and I said, that's something that would be nice to have doing around a Black History or a Juneteenth or something like that. That would be something that really kind of celebrate our culture, but not excluding, some white people or Chinese or Asian people. It just celebrating our culture in our area.
Yeah, I agree. And funny comment, strip clubs be full of Juneteenth twerk off. I mean, it's funny, but you probably right. They're gonna be there. Daddy's gonna be popping in Jackson. um, but if I'm about to look it up, Mike, I think Juneteenth does coincide around Father's Day, so it is a change. Grill masters, we can get out there, show what we got. Kind of flood the social media and just flood the neighborhood with Black history. And like you said, Jonathan, man, if we could do something like that year round on the block, and it don't have to be a black thing. We just celebrating something that's black. It does.
Right.
It ain't necessarily like that's for the black folk. No, that's for everybody.
It's
It
for
just so
everybody.
happened to be about black people.
That,
And I
that,
think it only become a black and white thing when we try to do something. Like I say, Cinco de Mayo come around. It ain't no Mexican thing. St. Patrick come around. None of that stuff comes around. Nobody goes, oh, that's just for them. We ain't gotta do that. We all
yeah.
celebrate, get into it, wear green, put on our little sombreros, drink tequila, whatever, whatever. Well, if and I know how some people gonna feel like, but if we want to drink Kool-Aid, eat watermelon, drink Kool-Aid, eat watermelon, no matter what it is. We can't feel like, well, we can't get all turned up because we like to drink Kool-Aid, eat watermelon. It is what it is. I'm not saying that's the only thing we got to do, but if
Yeah,
that's
don't
what they
forget the
want to
chicken.
do, yeah, we're gonna have chicken. It's the cheapest thing you can buy.
But see, that's one of the core arguments of the Black Lives Matter movement is everybody was saying Black Lives Matter, and then you had the opposite of All Lives Matter, and a lot of people wasn't understanding that it wasn't excluding white people, Chinese people, Japanese people. We wasn't saying your life don't matter. We were saying that Black Lives Matter. Also, they just so it was a whole confusion there that I think uh, that people didn't publicize well. Is what I feel.
Like, everything is just always so black and white, man. You know,
Yeah.
It's the and it's the implications and thoughts, like you said, what people want to put out there, the propaganda, what people want to put out in place. People not trying to listen to the message. They just want to talk about the actions.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to do a better job of that as a culture and a race as well, to let our actions speak a little bit better.
So before we go, I want to ask everyone a question. Do you think Black Lives Matter helped Black History Month or hurt Black History Month? We'll start with you, JP.
Black Lives Matter, does it help or hurt Black History Month? Once, and it kind of go back to what I was just saying, the message, such as like Black History Month, is being flipped and turned around into not a prosperous way. Lack of education, lack of understand. Well, I say lack. People not wanting to understand the hardships of blacks. I think it's kind of hurt Black History Month. So to answer your question, Black Lives Matter, I don't think it helped Black History Month as well as it needed to be, just because of how we are living in society.
What about you, Mr. Willie?
I'm definitely not gonna say that it hurt Black History Month because I mean Black Lives Matter just brought something to the forefront that has been going on since Black History was started. I mean, it's one of the reasons that Black History was started because we were being it was prejudice against Black people, and it's the same thing except this was in the law system dealing with police and things like that. So I definitely don't feel like it hurt us. And one of the comments that my wife just made about how Black Lives Matter, the initial movement was great. It did become sort of a political play because I mean, we all see if you look on your social media or your timeline feeds, especially during that time, it was so many pounds, Black Lives Matter, so many videos, so many this, so many that, so many that. And it got to a certain point where some things were kind of upon us. You know, it was kind of being used for what it wasn't intended to be. You feel me? So it kind of got away. Now, if that, I don't think that hurt Black history, because I think the point was still being driven that Black people wasn't being treated right or treated fairly. And I mean, that's the whole gist of becoming a Black History Month.
Yeah, Black Lives Matters was directly in the name, basically saying that, hey, we tired of people, especially the justice system, I'm sorry, we were tired of the justice system basically attacking Black people. I mean, if you looked at the end of the day, we were being killed more, incarcerated more, and were involved in acts of violence around the world. And that's what it was. And it just became that thing where every time something happened, whether it had something to do with Black Lives Matter or not, that's what you put at the end of the system, Black Lives Matter. And it's like, okay, yes, we want to be proud of our Black people, but that's not where you put that. I mean, we may need to have a lesson on when the hashtag stuff. Like, we put hashtags on the wrong thing.
Well, I know, man, be like, I got fired from Popeye. Black Lives Matter.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no,
You ain't come to work. You ain't come to work.
Like Black Lives Matter.
Or the cops beat me because I was driving 100 miles per hour. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Y'all remember the video that came out? I don't remember that video.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so that's just the thing, we can't get caught up in every time something happens, we want to hashtag Black Lives Matter. I mean, there's a time and a place to put that. And I think it did become too political, and it just became watered down because we were saying it too much. Yeah, it's just one of those things where, it wasn't like when Martin Luther King was marching, he was trying to be free or get equality. It was different. Everything was around it, but now, we just putting it in the wrong spot.
Where is Black Lives Matters now? Because I hadn't heard anything about it.
So now here's the thing with Black Lives Matter. I think that it did. I believe it opened up a door about other people, as far as where they stood about the actual lives of Black people. Mm-hmm. It opened up that door that you can see what people actually thought about you behind closed doors, because it became that thing. Oh, you were one of them, one of those Black Lives Matter people. And so that's what it did. And now it's so political that, it's basically it's more than a movement now. It's almost like a party. And, they have their own agenda. They're collecting money to do whatever it is they're doing with it. I'm not saying that they're necessarily 100% bad or nothing like that, but it has moved way far beyond what it was initially started for. So it's around. Trust me, if you
it's still around, and I think it left a lot of good. It left some good, because you got people being more aware of traffic stops, or when they see something that doesn't look right, people are recording, people are paying, they are paying more attention. The justice system is trying to work in the favor, and trying to do the right thing in some cases, but it's got a long way to go, for people to just start acknowledging a lot of this in the past 4 to 5 years, and it's been going on since we got here, so it's got a long way to go.
Are we being hypocrites to still say Black Lives Matter when we are taking each other's lives ourselves?
No, man.
So Black Lives Matter, they had nothing, but it didn't have. I see you shaking your head, JP. It didn't have nothing to do with us. It wasn't talking about black on black crime. That's a whole nother subject.
Right. And what's black on black crime? You got white on white crime. You got, depends on your community and where you live. That's the crime that's gonna be there. You know? And if I'm up in Montana, if I'm in Wisconsin with a 70% population of white people, and the killings and crimes that go on, well, that's white on white crime.
Yeah. And a lot of times you hear these numbers about how unsafe this place is and this place is. It's all based on capital. They take the amount of people that stay in your area and say for the amount of people that you have is too many killing. It ain't that no more killing is done in your city than the next city. It's just you have less people in your city, so it looks disproportionately big. But
Right. Now, should we address the issue of the senseless killings in our community? Yes, of course. But I say just don't label it as black on black crime. I mean, it's like you just acknowledging that there's no other crime. Like,
yeah,
I
like
mean,
white folks don't kill white folks.
it's a crime regardless.
It, it's senseless, and that's a lot of the answers that a lot of the kids that get involved in shootings and some of the grown folks, some of the stuff that we shooting and killing and robbing and stealing folks over is senseless. So I mean, like I said, black on black crime. When we say Black Lives Matter, they go. I feel some type of way about it because we need to be. It hurt our movement a little bit because of excellence. We should be about excellence. Our expectation should be excellence, but yet and still, I want to go rob this Dollar General just because I ain't got nothing to do. Like literally, we had a robbing in Columbus probably about a week ago, and one of the kids' response was, "Coach, we ain't nothing to do." So I mean,
Well, I mean, I don't think it hinders the ex. You got to think of how things is portrayed out there on the news and on social media. Of course, the crime, the shootings, the killings, the senseless robbery is going to be pushed to the forefront. And that's what people going to see. Kids on their phones all day, that's what they're going to see. And maybe if they scroll down a couple more stories, they might see a black excellence story, So it's about the agenda that's being pushed. That's how I see that. And where we come from in small towns, it can come off as a black on black crime situation. But that's why I say you got to see through some of the garbage. You feel me? Because that's the agenda that's being pushed, especially with the youth when you can get everything right there in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, I think they push us out to the forefront a little bit. I mean, it's just like nobody else do no other crime. Like I watch the news pretty consistent. I know a lot of people don't watch it, but I feel like if they don't find somebody got shot or somebody stole something in Jackson, then the news literally don't talk about nothing for that day. Like it be stuff in other cities and stuff. I mean, not other cities, other states and stuff people doing somewhere else because ain't nobody died today in Jackson. So let's talk about the stuff that's going on in New Jersey. Like it's other stuff that happened. You ain't got to just report on Jackson news when something bad happened. It's like they look for bad stuff to talk about.
That's one thing you're right too, Rod. The perception outweighs reality. And that's one thing that we try to do at Columbus, man. For every one bad thing that happened, man, we try to do 2 or 3 things in the community just to put the kids on TV, just to give them that. So, but like you said, it's pulling teeth to get the media there. But if you sit around and say, well, at the football game, the shooting going on at homecoming, they're gonna be in my face with a microphone.
Right.
So yeah, it's the media does. Everybody got their own hidden agenda.
Yeah, no doubt.
We're gonna go around and have a final thought from everybody. If anybody want to come in on the Black History situation, should we celebrate or should we not? We're gonna start with you, Rod. So final thought.
I say, remember where you come from. Remember who you are. Remember that you are Black history. Black history is every day. Black history is something that could be celebrated from January to December. I challenge everybody this year, especially if you can hear me, if you listen to the podcast later or whatever. June 10th is our time. It's a federal holiday now. It's not a state holiday in Mississippi yet, so the state employees y'all won't be off. But it's a federal holiday, And so, and no matter what day you celebrate, but just do something, whether you cook out, whether you um, whether you put something on social media, if you just go buy a shirt that say Happy Juneteenth, just celebrate it in some way to get that word out. And if somebody sees a shirt and don't know what it is, do some research so you can be able to tell that person what it is. And that's how it's gonna spread. When was Mardi Gras didn't start off as a big thing. It started off something small and mobile and it made its way out through the nation. So Juneteenth's gonna be the same way.
Mr. Willis.
Oh, I was already on me. Yeah, kind of like last week when we talked about religion and Black history. It starts in the house. You got to teach kids. There's so many avenues out here to express and explain about Black history. We have flashcards that we have for our kids, and just teach them every day. You learn a different person. I have books. We have this and that. So, like everything that I preach, it starts at home. And then if you teach kids, I know like my oldest son, he's very talkative, so he has no problem expressing what he has learned about Black history to others. And that's how it spreads. You take one child telling another or one adult telling another. So I express to everyone to preach and teach and try to spread the joy of Black history as much as possible.
Mr. Joshua, since this was your subject.
I appreciate it. Before I get in mine, Willie, you got the Black people on some cards.
Flashcards. You can buy a flashcard set with the Black history with the people, what they did. Just like in class, if you ever use flashcards in school, it helps you to remember.
Well, I just thought you just said you got Black people on cards. I didn't. Okay, so I
flash open it. See, that's how the narrative get misconstrued right there. That's that man mentality.
But yeah, and it goes back to the topic of like you said, how we came up with the idea of Black history. It shouldn't be taught just in February. We should live it every day. All of us black males and Black women, have to just keep instilling the greatness that we come from. And like I want to give all credit and shout out to my wife. She's one of the hardest working young lady that I know. Like we said at the beginning of the show, we have 4 kids, and man, when I mean she holds it down, she holds the house down from the front to the back. She makes sure the kids come in, get the work done. And take care of the house. She does great. Then she works a full-time job. So you can never praise her enough for the work that she does, and I'm forever grateful. I'm forever thankful for everything that she do, and she know I love her for that. But like what Willie was just saying, and Rod as well, we have to remind our kids and just it starts at home. In order for us to get the community, in order for us to get everybody, we have to instill in our youth how great they are. And we're not gonna say them all, but if our kids provide and go by the example, maybe they can just bring one and it can stop some generational curse.
All right, was there any more thoughts? All right. We're gonna move on to we're gonna get ready to end this discussion for tonight. We ask that you come back next week. And the subject we're gonna talk about next week probably gonna throw a lot of people off. It's probably gonna make a lot of people mad. But the subject we're gonna talk about next week is fraternities and sororities. Are they still good for the community? Are they still doing anything for the community? Or are we just getting letters and getting popularity? That's the subject we're gonna talk about next week. I think we're ready. I'm gonna turn it back over to you, Rod.
Okay, that's gonna be an interesting topic. I'm gonna wear my letters just for that. I do want to, before we go, I want to give a shout out to Mike Smith. I hope you're still on. He had the dad joke of the week, and it goes, there are two hats on a hat rack. What did one hat say to the other hat? You stay here. I'm going to go on ahead. That's a good dad joke.
Oh, man, there's a hater everywhere. There's a hater everywhere.
It's dad jokes. All dad jokes. That's the point of dad jokes.
But it's funny. That's funny.
Because you're a dad.
Go on ahead, JP. But that was awesome. So every week we encourage everybody to reach out and get on these dad jokes. So please join us on the dad joke. That's always good. Thank everybody for joining us. Thank you everybody for coming out. There's a lot of people in the chat. We appreciate y'all for chatting with us and getting your comments up there. We putting you out there. There are a couple of you guys in the chat that are members of Greek letter organizations. So I encourage you to come back next week and hear us dialogue about the importance or the relevance of Greek letter organization. That's going to be an interesting topic. Invite your line brother, invite your line sister, invite your whole chapter. We want everybody to get there. Invite them all.
New chapter meeting. Chapter meeting next week.
Signals,
I don't go
alphas, AKAs, iotas, sigma gamma rho's. Invite them all. I mean, you can invite them the IFC and CPC you want to. It don't matter. You KK Psi, Tau Beta Sigmas, Vice Lords.
They help the community.
Hey, now I will admit, Vice Lords and Crips didn't start off like no gang banging like we know today.
There you go. Preach it.
I had to have a meet. I had to have a sit down with the Vice Lord and the gangsters in the community when I got to Columbus.
That's why you wanted the community man of the year.
You
in those streets.
You out there crip walking. That's what it was. Mike said he gonna skip next week episode. Oh no.
No, come on, Mike.
Calling you out. I'm calling out. I'm gonna try to get all the old heads up. I don't know if you on Facebook, you Greek, you got something to say about the organizations or the things we are or may not be doing.
Oh yes, Mike. Oh, my bad. I thought I was muted, but yeah, Mike. That week is a whole different experience.
It is a whole different experience.
Yeah, that was crazy.
We know about the gangster week. Gangster had a week and they had a date. You know, we all knew we go to the club on Thursday, a little bit on Friday. You didn't go on Saturday. Saturday was not that was a different day.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll be all day talking about that. I appreciate you guys again for stepping out, showing us some love. Again, you can find us here every Wednesday night at 9:00. You can also find us on YouTube at Apartment 4A, on Spotify, and you can find us on Google Podcasts. We are working on the Apple Podcast. I have not forgotten. I'm out of town at a conference, so I ain't really had a chance to do nothing different this week. But again, thank you guys. Thank you, fellas. Like always, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here. Peace.
Full circle.
I got my own room. And then after that, we go to Apartment 4A, and the rest is history.
We'll be going live on Facebook next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Until next time, guys, we'll holler at you.